How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Garage Built Baits. I'm your host, Wyatt Byer, and let's just get all the promotional stuff out of the way first. Buy Me a Coffee link is down below. You can go check it out. Goes and supports the channel. And go check out Buyer Lure Co. I got some fun stuff happening over there here, hopefully pretty soon. Getting some stuff edited and some stuff filmed. But if you're not following any of the social medias for either of those, Buyer Lure Co. or Garage Built Baits, I would highly suggest that because, hey, there's some neat stuff going on over there. Keeps you updated of when new episodes drop for Garage Built Baits. Some daily life stuff for Buyer Lure Co., kind of my own stuff. Gym, food, just shenanigans. But go check those out. Go follow them. And today's episode is with Rafael from Rafa Baits. Great episode. And I am finally glad that it is coming out because this was filmed back in February. So some of the info is not super up to date. But I hope you guys enjoy. And subscribe to all of the podcast things. YouTube for the videos, and Spotify, Apple, Amazon for the podcast.
Wyatt, where are you located?
I'm smack dab in the Midwest. I'm in South Dakota.
South Dakota. How's the weather out there?
So it's been like unseasonably warm this winter.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like we had a wildfire like the other day when I was driving home from work, and it like went right up against the highway, and I was like, well, I hope this doesn't I hope like our summer's not like this, or else it's gonna be kind of sketch because we're in a freaking
Wow.
forest. It's like I'm in
Right?
like the Mount Rushmore area.
Nice.
Oh.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then I forgot where you're out of. You're like,
I'm in California. I'm in
okay,
Southern California.
okay, that's what I thought. I thought you were
80,
in the
80
SoCal
degree
area.
weather right now. 80-degree weather. Everybody's freezing their butt off and back east, and over here we have our ACs on. Yeah, which I don't like it. It's too early for that. I want it to be cold and in the 70s and 60s and partly cloudy. But no, I mean hopefully it's not a precursor how the summer is going to be. Because out here in the summertime it gets hot. It gets about 105, 110. And it'll last until like October. Believe it or not, you think like, okay, summertime, September it's over. No, all of September is probably the hottest month. 2 weeks into October, we're still in the hundreds. It's like, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, when I lived in Florida, well, like one, you get used to it really quick because like me and my girl, we lived in Florida for a couple of years. Like you get used to the heat and the humidity, and you're like, oh, like once you're living in it, it's not so bad. But when we first got there and went to the beach for the first time, and we're both super pale, and I was like, I'll be fine. Like I was applying sunscreen a couple of different
Yeah.
times, and no, it was bad. I got like huge blisters on my shoulders, like
Uh,
from being out on the beach. So like we didn't have like the beach umbrella yet or anything like that, but
uh-huh.
no, like you get used to it. But yes, it's summertime out here. It gets like pretty hot as well. Not typically like 105 and stuff like that, but it'll get like high 90s, 100 degrees. Um,
That's crazy.
yeah, so it's like
South Dakota.
major swings in the weather from winter to summer.
Yeah. Out here, well, California, Southern California, that's like your typical ideal weather to live in. It's not too cold. Well, depending what parts of California you live in. Like I'm in the valley, so the valleys get a lot hotter than the more of the city or near
Hmm.
the coastline. In the coastlines, you get 70 degrees, 75 degrees. But out here in the valleys, that's where it gets really hot.
Hmm.
And I grew up in LA, It got hot there, but nothing like the Inland Valley. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's home. You gotta adjust, right?
Yeah.
You gotta adjust.
One of my cousins lives up in like one of those like snowboard ski resort areas, and he'll post pictures all the time, and they got like couple feet of snow or whatever, and all of that. But I think that's more like Northern California where they have some of that, like the
Yeah.
Mammoth Mountain
Okay.
or
Okay.
area, something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't deal with the cold or the snow. It's I'm light I'm light skinned for the most part, but because I'm out in the sun in the weather, I'm brown. My
Hmm.
my dad my dad he's real white, like white. You know, his relatives are from Spain, so they're all white. My aunt is white, light skinned. My mom is brown skinned, but I'm light skinned, but I get brown real quick in the sun.
Hmm.
You know, my niece, she has like blue eyes, light skin. You know, but yeah, I mean, I'm so used to California. I can't see myself living anywhere else. Like I'll
Yeah.
probably go crazy. You know,
The part that I miss most about living in Florida is just like, well, I could, you know, minus like a hurricane, I can pretty much go fish whenever I want. You know,
right?
it's never gonna be that bad to where I can't just go out and hit the bank up for an hour or two. So that's what I miss the most. And then fishing the salt. I don't know if you do much ocean fishing.
Yeah. I grew up fishing
Right.
saltwater
Oh,
first.
dude, we'll just dive into it, man. Like
Yeah, man. Shoot, man. Ask away.
yeah, well, you just introduce yourself and you can tell the people what you do.
Well, my name is Rafael Perez. I am the sole owner of Rafa Custom Baits, and I make swim baits, and I've been making baits. I will say at least 35 years since I was like a teenager.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. So how did that start for you making baits? You said you started as a teenager, like you're just carving stuff, or you like try to melt plastics down.
Well, I grew up in Southern California in LA. So as a kid, my dad would take me fishing at the local pier, saltwater fish. And um, the biggest prey fish or the fish that you target the most was bonita, which is like a mackerel, tuna family, the big sport fish, and we will catch those on flies. Kind of a technique where you put out like a bobber, like a clear bubble with a leader
Hmm.
tied to a couple of flies, and you just cast it from the pier, get that distance, and you catch bonita on the surface. So as a kid, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool because I've seen local fishermen do tie their own flies and all that stuff. So I was intrigued by handmade stuff versus like buying like those spoons or whatever. So I was like, wow, I was like, I wonder if I could do that. You know, at that time we had a couple of parakeets, birds and stuff, and their feathers, fall. I was like, let me try that. Check it out. And I actually still have some of that stuff with me. Um, let me see. So that's how I got started. And this is probably before I was a teen, maybe 12 years old, maybe. You know, I was as a kid, very artsy, hands-on, and building stuff. You kind of see. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can see that.
So this is what I would tie. I'll get my mom's string or her yarn or whatever for sewing, and I'll pick up some of those feathers that those green parrots would drop, and then I'll just tie my own stuff. You know, it started from that, and then making these like crude like casting jigs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I made these all like it wasn't even a garage. We had like a little shed in the back. Um, these these were mom's broom handles,
Yeah.
and look, foil.
Oh man. Yeah.
I'll use foil, and believe it or not, this is actually through wire. I don't know how I did that. Um, I used to just get my dad's tools and just go to town. Here's another one of mom's broom handles right there, cut and you know with a handsaw and shaped down with a knife and just I didn't have any sandpaper, I don't think, but yeah, I mean these are I've had these since probably the late 80s, maybe 87, 88.
Uh-huh.
So like it kind of tells you my age. Um, but that's how I got started, man. Just by going fishing with pops as a little kid. So and just throughout my whole like adult life, I've always fished. I stopped making baits or you know for years, and but it always like fascinated me to try to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in LA. We didn't have any lakes, local lakes. All we had was the ocean was close by, and I couldn't drive, man. My dad would drive and take us and stuff. And when I was a teenager, we moved to the valley out of here in Fontana, and I was bummed out, man. I was like, man, no more fishing, this and that, and who's gonna take me to catch fish at the pier or whatnot? And I explored around. When I finally got my first car, I was like 17, 16, 17. And I had one of my friends from high school. I was, hey man, let's go exploring for some lakes because there was no internet back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought maps of my area and I showed out mountains and other lakes. Oh, look at that one. So we discovered this lake called Silverwood Lake, which is a big reservoir, and that's where I discovered freshwater fishing, striper fishing, and yeah, man, that's how it started, and just up until I started tinkering with baits again or making my own stuff again. I would say about 20 years ago. 20
Mm-hmm.
years ago, I started making my crude wooden top butter baits, stuff like that, and it
Mm-hmm.
just evolved. It just evolved, and I always wanted to learn how to make realistic baits, and I had a lot of inspiration at that time. There was very, very, very few bait makers. Rego, Mickey at 316, MS Slammer, just to name a few. Those were like the main people that were making, you know, custom handmade baits. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. I was like, I want to learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would buy books on how to carve, fish carving. I just taught myself, just evolved and to where I'm at now. But it's been a long journey, fun, and I do this for a living now. But I was doing this just kind of part time as a hobby for years until I finally quit my full time job, which I absolutely hated. And and I was, what? I was like, I gotta try this, man. I was like, I gotta try this. This is what I love to do, And I just focused. I just walked away from my job, and well, I didn't walk away, but I gave him notice and stuff. But I just pulled the trigger, man. Pull the trigger, and you know what? I'm gonna do this. If I fail, if I tried, right?
Mhm.
But I did it. I did it, and I've been full time, 4 years, 5 years now, and it's just me. I don't have any help.
Mhm.
I I do everything. Um, I got some packages that I packaged up last night. Yeah. So I'm busy, man.
Mhm.
I'm busy. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. No, you I feel like you do a really good job like updating your Instagram and like what you're like working on or stuff like that cuz you keep teasing like the frog glide
Yeah,
and and then you show other stuff that you're working on or new like orders going out, stuff like that. I feel like you do a really good job like updating people of like, hey, this is what we got going on right now, like stuff shipped, or it's like I
yeah,
know you just
yeah.
posted recently, like it's like, oh, I'll ship the rest of these baits, tomorrow or whatever, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, and it's important. It's important. It's like um I'm doing this because of you guys. You guys are allowing me to continue to do this, and I try to stay engaged, and make posts and stuff, and just showing what I'm working on, or old baits or new baits. I have like boxes full of stuff, of carvings that I haven't even shown anybody, or released or whatnot. But this year, I made a pact with myself. You know what? I was like, I'm gonna start releasing some of the baits that I have in those boxes. I'm gonna just produce them.
Mhm.
And that bullfrog, I have one right here. That bullfrog was one of them. That bullfrog tadpole top
Mhm.
water was one of them. You know, something different from what you see out there right now. All you see is shads. All you
Mhm.
see is bluegills and wake baits and stuff like that. You know what? Let me try something different. And you gotta just, I don't know, as somebody that designs or creates, um, you can only make a certain bait so many different ways,
Mhm.
right? For example, a shad. Okay, how many ways can you make a shad? A glide, multi-piece, add a lip, um, whatever. But I was like, something other than a shad. I was like, okay, a lizard, frogs, any other species. Um, but yeah, it's constantly just working on stuff. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work.
Mhm.
I made a craw. I made a craw. Um, this is a so it sinks like this, right?
Mhm.
The claws float up, but there's something a little different. Has a
Mhm.
joint, has a line tie up here, top hook, whatnot. You know, but I have a lot of that kind of stuff laying around.
Mhm.
Um, and then this is where that concept from that frog glide, or frog tadpole glide, you know, something something a little different,
Mhm.
you know. Might work, it might not work, but I'm always working on stuff, and that's part of the fun, man. I think I have more fun making stuff, carving stuff, than the actual like production, like the actual like production of stuff. That it's very time consuming.
Mhm.
Pouring the baits, prepping them, trimming them, sanding them, assemble, swimming them, painting them. I like painting. I love painting. But when you got to paint 50, 60 baits, you're like, oh my God. Oh, you know?
Uh-huh.
But that's what I got to do, man. I don't pay anybody to paint my baits. I paint my own stuff. I don't pay anybody to pour my baits. Um, a lot of bait makers, or some bait makers, they have what others pour their baits. So it's like I mean, it's just me. They're fortunate that they have a staff or team or whatnot. I don't. It's just me. So, but I managed to make it work, and it's working so far.
Mhm. Um, going back a little bit, so the first like baits that you made from your mother's like broomstick handles, what did you paint those with? Was that spray paint, nail polish?
Um, it wasn't spray paint. It was I used to build model cars.
Uh huh.
Those testers, model cars, and I had those little bottles of paint
Mhm.
and those little jars of paint, right?
Mhm.
And then I'll just with a brush, and I'll just paint them with that. I didn't have any cans of clear coat or none of that stuff. I mean, these have no clear coat. Just just paint.
Mhm.
I mean, look at the eyes. I mean, there was no eyes back then. It was just I don't know what I used. They're like I cut with a scissor.
Uh huh.
Um, this one has painted on eyes, like just a little dot,
Mhm.
But I used what I had. I didn't have any money. I was a kid.
Mhm.
I'm sure mom would get pissed off, asking where her mop was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like the kind of things that I would do as a kid. Just I didn't think about the consequences. You know, but yeah, that's how I did it, man. And yeah, fun
So
stuff, fun stuff.
yeah, on your first baits, did you catch any fish on those when you fished them, test them out?
And when I was a kid,
Yeah.
yeah, these had fish on them. These had fish on them. I would fish. So not only the pier, but we had on these rock jetties,
Mhm.
and I'll go on the rocks and just like like your surf fishing kind of style,
Mhm.
and then I'll just throw them up in water and stuff, and yeah, and I'll catch mackerel on them, some smaller bonita, but yeah, these all have fish on them. Yeah, which was cool, man. I was like, wow, I was like, it works. So it's like a big sense of accomplishment that
Mhm.
I'm very proud of, and these are so dear to me. These are to me these are priceless. You
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, it's part of your origin story and your history.
Oh, totally, totally. It's like I don't know how I dug up like years ago. I dug up my old tackle box that my pops won at work as a raffle. So when I was a kid, my dad came home with a big old tackle box, right? He's like, "Oh, look what I won! They had a raffle at work, and I wanted this and that." I was like, "Wow!" I was like, anything fish related. I was like, "Wow!" I was like, so in there, That's where I kept them at. And when we moved in my early teens, we brought my 2, 3 fishing poles and that tackle box.
Mhm.
And yeah, I opened it up and it was like a bunch of old stuff, and and I found these in there. I was like, oh my god! It's like I gotta put them aside and save them somewhere.
Mhm.
And then but yeah, these are priceless to me.
Oh, for sure, dude. And then going forward a little bit, you start getting into bait making again. Um, what'd you like start making that kind of led into you making swim baits?
Top water baits for stripers,
Mhm.
mainly like your walking baits, walking baits. Because that's what some of the locals we use. This is like probably in the early 90s, 94, 95. Some of the locals there we use those to catch stripers. That and those big old giant bucktails, with the jig with the feathers.
Mhm.
They'll use those to catch stripers. And I made some of those too. I don't have any of that stuff, but that's how I got started. You know, targeting stripers in the early 90s, and then I would buy those books, those like freshwater fishing, saltwater fishing, and it tells you like it had nice illustrations of what locals use and whatnot, uh, and that's where I learned from.
Mhm. And then what was what was the bait that kind of started to draw attention to you for like people wanting it?
So, um, my inspiration to make I started making trout baits, multi-piece. Um, I was inspired by Mickey at 316.
Mm-hmm.
He had these incredible, realistic swim baits that were I could never afford them. This is probably in the mid 2000s, oh
Mm-hmm.
04, oh 05 maybe. Um, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. I was like, man, I was like, I want to make something like that. And I tried and I failed and I tried and I failed. And I was like, wow, I was like, how can I get my baits to look kind of like that? The realism of those trout baits he made. And I just bought carving books, how to fish carving books. And but that's where my inspiration came to make swim baits was from Mickey at 316.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of that journey, part of that journey, also another inspiration was Andrew at Hinkle. Andrew Hinkle, when he came out with that trout glide, and um, he was a big inspiration as well. And I reached out to him at the time for pointers, how he did it or whatnot or whatever, just some of the materials needed to molding and resin, all that stuff. Um, but aside from that, as far as like making them swim or all that stuff, is like just learning, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just learning. A lot of trial and error, a lot of money in materials and stuff. And I didn't have any tools or airbrushing equipment, none of that stuff. Just I started buying a little bit at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't making any money. It was just for fun, just for me, my buddies and stuff. But that's where I got the bug to make swim baits and glide baits from those guys.
Mm-hmm. No, that's epic because you're right there in SoCal, kind of during the heyday of when all this stuff's going on. Big bass, like big baits, freaking trout stockings, all that like cool stuff that, was a big part of how this like whole big swim bait community got started.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The swim bait culture it started in Southern California
Mm-hmm.
by like people like Jerry Rago, Alan Cole, AC Plugs, Castaic, Huddleston. Huddleston worked at Castaic.
Mm-hmm.
They made some incredible baits in the mid '90s, late '90s. Um, there's some other bait makers, um, Z plugs. But yeah, I mean, it all evolved in Southern California. Before the internet, it was all just like you buy those baits at like local shops, local bait shops.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to Castaic Lake in the mid '90s and seeing Alan Cole's those AC plugs hanging in the bait shop. I was like, wow! I was like, look at those giant lures.
Mm-hmm.
It's just two pieces of wood with a joint and a plastic tail. I was like, wow, that's so cool. So that kind of inspired me as well. So, but yeah.
No, that's pretty epic, dude. And I think one of the coolest baits that I've seen from you recently is the one glide that you have, and then it's um like so it's a glide, but then you have like the other fish like on top of it, like on the
Yeah,
side.
that two phase. I don't have one. I had one laying around. I don't. Yeah, it's just like like and I'm not the first person to do that, and I'm never gonna claim I'm the first.
Mm-hmm.
But um, another company did something similar, but it was like painted or on the inside of a crankbait, kind of
Mm-hmm.
resembles like a bait ball, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you couldn't really tell unless you brought it up close to your eyes. So something like that, I was like, you know what? Let me try it and do that same principle, but more of a 3D effect, right? So here's an example, right? So
Mm-hmm.
here's a glide bait, right? And then right behind it was like the illusion of other um what do you call it, fish.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like when you see trout swimming or shad swimming, they always follow each other, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
always like this, whatever. So it's just kind of like that illusion, and then painting it and stuff, and kind of mimics two fish swimming side by side, which is kind of unique, I guess. So something cool.
No, no, I thought it was really cool. And one thing that I notice about like your baits when people have them is like I don't often see your baits getting like resold. I feel like people like really hold on to your baits when you get them because I don't often see like your baits pop up on like the forums or the groups or anything like that because I'm looking fairly often because I'm pretty addicted to the whole swim bait thing, buying, trading, selling. It's all fun.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, every bait that leaves my garage, is like it took me a long time to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't just make a bait, paint a bait, and sell a bait, and not produce or swim the way it's supposed to. So I take great pride in making sure that when you get your bait, it's gonna swim the way. I say I posted a video of a swim bait, whatever. Every bait is tested,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, and yeah, I just take great pride in every bait nobody touched. Just I did it by myself
Mm-hmm.
from A through Z. They all start they all start they all start from a drawing.
Mm-hmm.
They all start from a drawing. From a drawing to that.
Mm-hmm.
This is my new bait, my RS shad. But yeah, I mean, it feels good that people uh, um, keep them and fish them and not sell them or whatever. I don't get in all that hype stuff or that you know. But yeah, it feels good, man. It feels good that they keep them and they fish them and they give me feedback and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Um, so when you're producing a bait, like how do you decide like in your lineup of baits that you have right now, how are you deciding it's like, all right, we're gonna make this one and then this time of year we're gonna make this bait, this time of the year we're gonna make this bait. How does that work for you?
You know what? It's just random. It's nothing programmed. It's just random. Like say I'll do like a month or so of making those two face glides, 10 inch. You know, I think mainly I switch up because I get tired of building the same bait over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I get burned out. I think, oh, I'm tired of making that bait. I'm like, oh, I'm making something else. So I'll hop on and make my little junior shad, little section shad.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that for a little while. I'll do multiple drops, different patterns and whatnot. And then afterwards, I get burned out. I was like, oh, I'm tired of that one. I was all right. Let me move on to this one. But nothing. Just random stuff, man. I don't have anything like calculated or whatnot. I just make what I want to make. I don't have a bluegill. I did years ago. I don't have a bluegill. Um, which I have a couple that I could make, but I just haven't pulled the trigger on those. But I mean, the market is so flooded right now, with shads and shads, but it's like that's what people want to see, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I have different variations. Um, I don't have a multi-piece, which I have one over there on my other table. but I haven't made it yet. I haven't produced it yet. But um, I'm just sticking to what's been working for people. You know, the juniors, the tens, the Joey Shads. Those are like my bread and butter. I made this trout bait um, about 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had a one mold at the time, and the mold got all deteriorated. I didn't have a master, so I'm gonna redo it and and produce those, but nothing calculated, man. Just making stuff when I want to, when I get
Mm-hmm.
tired of other stuff.
Yeah. One of the one of your baits that I really, and I don't know if you've made them in a little bit. I'm looking here. Uh oh, the small like shiner glides that you make.
Okay,
I like those a lot. I'm trying to get my hands on one of those because I'm just
the
like looking.
little 6 inch. I call it the junior shad.
Or here if that's gonna see if that'll. Yeah, those little ones.
Oh yeah, that's the I call it the generic glide,
Uh huh.
because it could be different species or whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, I made those last year. I had a couple runs. But like I said, I get bored and I just move on to something else,
Mhm.
you know. But that's the cool part about my job is like I could make whatever I want. You know, I don't have to like keep making just one bait. I have so many different baits. And so I have that option to do that, which is cool. And yeah, man, it's fun. It's super fun. My job is super fun. It's very rewarding. I don't answer anybody. Uh, Again, I work a lot. I work a lot of hours, man. I mean, from the morning to nighttime. I was up until like 11 o'clock last night printing labels for these packages that need to be dropped at the post office. Sorry, guys. Um, but yeah, that's it, man. And then here's a new one. See, I have so much new stuff. Here's another one. This is a 9 inch gizzard that I've
Mhm.
had just sitting around and testing, and but this is all hand carved, man. Hand carved. No computer, CAD work design, none of that stuff. Just hand carved. Tails, tail. Everything's handmade. Nothing is outsourced. Nothing.
Mhm. Yeah, but I feel like with your carving and your paint, you can definitely tell it's like, if somebody posts a picture of a fish catch or whatever and you're looking at the bait, it's like, oh, you can tell that's Rafa by the paint, the carvings, like you have your own kind of style to your baits.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I said, I take great pride and try to get them. My carvings with detail work and take time with the painting. You know, I don't take any shortcuts. You know, I use the best paints you could afford, that I can afford, which is I use House of Color automotive paints, and those are expensive.
Mhm.
But um, that's what I've always used, and I'm gonna stick with that. Automotive clear coat, premium automotive clear coat. Um, I don't take any shortcuts, and every bait is priced accordingly. You know, some will say, "Oh, they're expensive," but uh, not really for handmade,
Mhm.
handmade, low production numbers. Um, you know, and all that is just backed by years of experience. You know, you pay a mechanic charges $100 an hour, and he'll fix the problem in 2 minutes. He said, why do I gotta pay you $100? You fix it like that. He said, well, it took years it took years to have the knowledge to fix it that quick,
Mhm.
and I feel some of this the swim baits, glide baits that I've made, It's taken me years to get that knowledge. I don't take shortcuts, or I mean, a lot of people they'll make a bait and they can't make it swim and they'll add a lip. That's anybody could do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't have any lip baits that I did back in November. I sold one of my new trouts, which was unreleased. But aside from that one, it's like I don't make any lip baits. I want my baits to swim. I want them to
Mm-hmm.
swim or whatnot. But yeah, man.
No, for sure, dude. And yeah, it's just like you say, they're priced accordingly because you're a one man show. Like you said, A to Z, like all aspects of how this bait was made, from concept to coming in somebody's mailbox. It's like you've had your hand in it and everything. And some people, the I feel like the people that complain most about the prices for stuff, it's like, well, it's probably not for you, not because you can't afford it or anything like that. It's not for you because you're not appreciating the amount of work and everything that's gone behind this. It's like you gave the analogy with the mechanic. It's like there's years of experience backed by them fixing your vehicle. That's why it's so expensive, and not everybody can do that. You can try to fix your car yourself, but if you don't have the knowledge to do that and you just watch a YouTube video, you might mess something up. So not everybody, it's like you said, you slap a lip on something that's not guaranteed to always work. There's a lot of experience and knowledge um, with creating, these works of art that bait makers are putting out.
Yeah, totally. And I have a lot of baits that I've made that they don't swim to my liking. Like they swim okay, but they don't swim to my standards or whatnot. And I won't make them. I won't produce them. It's
Mm-hmm.
real easy to make them, paint them, and all right, guys, and sell them. But those baits are gonna end up at trading them or selling them or whatever. That's how you see all these baits being flipped or traded or sold, because I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that other bait makers baits don't swim. I'm just saying, um, I take pride in make sure they function. They function, and like I said, not all of them make the cut. Sometimes I get frustrated on a model and that I can't get it to do what I want it to do, and I'll refuse to sell it. I refuse to make it. You know, I have to be 110% confident that it's going to produce,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the ones that I sell, that I produce. And like I said, I mean, there's other bait makers. I try to stay fairly competitive as far as my pricing, but I'm a legitimate person. All of this stuff, I pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything costs money, shipping, packaging, all that stuff costs money, and I pay taxes. You know, I pay 10% quarterly, excise tax, all that stuff. So it's like part of them, part of that the cost is already figured out, that I gotta give a percentage, about 30% of that, probably even 40% of that, to Uncle Sam.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, it's like I'm walking away with a little bit, considering my time. So I could charge more, but I was like, I don't want to. It's like I try to kind of stay below the radar, kind of like, yeah, it's not for everybody. Kid out of high school, it's not gonna afford this. He's gonna he'll go to Bass Pro, buy like their XPS brand or whatever. But once you start getting into fishing, it's like anything else. You get into golfing, you buy your big five brand, putters and whatnot. As you get better, you love golf, and you buy the more expensive golf clubs, right? It's kind of the same thing, just like anything else. Shoes,
Mm-hmm.
Nikes, Converse, Vans or whatever. It's just another. It's a tool that you use for fishing, and it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that can escalate, and that's like with anything, especially fishing, because it's like You start with your Walmart, your little push button rod and reel,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the next thing you know, it's like, oh, it's like now I gotta, you know, a dedicated swim bait setup, Shimano or Daiwa or whatever reel, and custom swim bait rod, and throwing these, big baits around, trying to fool a fish to bite these things. It's all fun. It's just yeah, with any hobby, it can all escalate as much as you want it to.
Yep. Yep. And I get a lot of youngsters that hit me up, which I feel bad, asking for for handouts or sponsor them, or I'm on my high school fishing club, and can you help support with some baits and stuff like that? It's like, wow, it's like if I made hundreds and hundreds of baits, I can. But it's like, man, it's like I honestly can't,
Hmm.
and it's like, and I have in the past. I've gave up, several baits to a bunch of kids and stuff like that. And I'm not asking for anything in return, but a lot of time I just had a kid ask me, and I felt bad. I was like, man, I was like, I can't, thank you for hitting me up, and um, but it's like I can't, so it's like I feel bad because I was a kid once,
Hmm.
and I was like nobody gave me anything, and yeah, man, but sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Yeah, and I feel I feel like a lot of bait makers are in your shoes, and like even like with the podcast, I will get random messages from uh like young kids. It's like, oh, I'd love to like get a bait, and I'll promote it or whatever. And it's like, that's really cool, but I was like, well, I try to message back what I can, but I'm like, that's really cool, but this is a podcast. And then like, oh, okay. And it's just like, it's like you wanna, it'd be cool to make every one of those kids' dreams like, come true. They get a bait or whatever, but it's not feasible, especially when it's like am making these one at a time. This is my full time job. I can't always be, you know, giving baits to everybody that sends me a DM about it.
Yeah, totally, totally. If I had 1,000 baits, say I'm like Rapala, making tens of thousands of baits or whatever. If I had that, yeah, I'll give out 40, 100 baits, testers, whatever. But I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Every bait is a minimum $120.
Mm-hmm.
It's like uh that could go towards this, or for supplies or this and that. Um buying my daughter some shoes or whatnot. You know, that's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Food on the table is like every penny that comes in is like it's precious.
Mm-hmm.
It's precious. Especially nowadays. People struggling, and I know not a lot of people could afford baits, or only the few can. But yeah, man. I don't take it lightly.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could help a lot of people, but I can't.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of uh, bait makers or people in general hit me up with tips. Hey, man, uh, how do I do this, or how do I do that, or and I'll pay it forward. I'll pay it forward. I'll kind of guide them. Okay, well, you need this, you need that, but I'm not gonna give you the whole recipe book.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll give you the basics. You know, YouTube nowadays, plenty of tutorials how to do that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll give them, I'll guide them the right direction. But yeah, because I know where I came from. I needed a lot of help. There wasn't only a few people actually helped me. My buddy Josh St. John, JSJ Bates, he helped me a lot tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, Andrew Hinkle, he helped me out. You know, who would do that nowadays? You know, it's so competitive. It's so competitive right now. It's like your friend all of a sudden now wants to make baits, And it's okay now. Is he your competition?
Mhm.
But I'll still help out. You know, nobody's being rich doing this stuff. You
Mhm.
know, nobody's making millions of dollars unless you're a big company.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just another job. But it's a fun job. You
No,
know.
for sure. And you're, we all started this because it's like, oh, we have a love for fishing, and now you're making lures. It's like, well, this is cutting into my fishing time because this is my job.
Yeah, yeah. I don't fish as much as I would like to, but at the same time, it's like I'm making cool stuff.
Mhm.
I'm making, and I take pride in when my baits, you guys are catching fish, and then you guys are tagging me on or send me pictures of baits. Like, wow, that's so cool, man! Like, congratulations, and I get a sense of pride of that. That feels so good.
Mhm.
That even though I can't fish as much as I want to, is like I enjoy my customers who are catching fish on my baits. So so cool.
No, no, it's definitely cool when you see stuff like that, and you get to see people catching fish on your baits, enjoying them, or you see a picture of one of your baits and you can tell just someone just fishes the crap out of it. It's like, you know, rashed up, teeth marks, stuff like that. Um, and I feel like I just saw a picture here recently. Maybe you had it on your story where you were working on your car. Like on, do you have like a Corvette, right?
I have a Corvette.
Yeah. What were you working on? Were you putting new exhaust on it?
I was putting some exhaust on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not only I'm into cars too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into cars. That's another hobby I have of mine, passion, whatever. But yeah, man. I got I will get calls like at 3 in the morning. Like I got a video call on through Messenger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what the hell is calling me so early? And I answer it, and it's one of my buddies. They're like, Rafa, Rafa. I was like, what? I have a sleep. He's like, man, I just lost a giant right now. I was like, oh my god, I had it, and it fell off the net, and it's oh my god, it was a double digit, Rafa. I was like, I can't believe it. I was like, fuck, man. I was like, so it's like that kind of gets me going, man. It's like shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll get those calls a lot. Um, but yeah, it's it feels good, man. It feels real good.
No, for sure. Yeah, like last summer, my buddy was trying to FaceTime me when I was like driving home from work and don't have like very good reception, and like I answered it and it's not coming through, and he ended up like sending me pictures and texting me. He's like, I just caught my PB. Like he was like freaking out, and it's like, dude, that's like sick that I was the first person you thought of. Like whenever, you caught your PB, and you want to share that like with your friends, debate makers, stuff like that. No, so that's pretty epic.
Yeah, and sometimes I got I got a text to Messenger. Uh, I won't say who it is. Um, he caught a 10 pounder, right? And that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Mhm.
And I was like, I was just waking up, right? And I was going through my phone, and I was like, who sent me a message? So I opened it, and it's a big old bass, and this and that. I caught it on the joy shed. I was like, what? I was like, wow, incredible. I was like, shit. So that really like it pumps you up. It really does, man. Um, then some other person um sent me a message on Messenger. He sent me a picture of a bass. It was a 13-pound bass.
Jeez.
that he's like, I'm sending you, the picture. Here's a scale, whatever, of the fish caught on the joy shad. But one thing is like you cannot post it. You cannot disclose that. I was like, why not? I was like, man, it's like let me show that off.
Mhm.
But I promised him I wouldn't say who it was or what he caught or whatnot, which is a
Mhm.
bummer for me because yeah, I need that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's all good for you.
it's good for me. Yeah, but it was a 13-pound bass that nobody knows about
Mhm.
except me and the fisherman.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy though. Do you feel like your Joey Shad is like one of your most popular baits that you make that people are wanting?
I haven't made the Joey Strat since probably early last year.
Mhm.
It was a real popular glide bait. I haven't made any more, which I should. But yeah, it's been real popular bait. That's what some of those bigger fish were caught on. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm never gonna claim that it's the best glide bait or it does swims defies the laws of physics as someone said once. I'm never gonna go out there and say, "Oh, my base swim incredible." This and that. I'm never gonna say that.
Mhm.
You know, I'm never gonna hype it up like that. But yeah, it's a real popular bait. That one of the junior shad,
Mhm.
hands down.
What's your favorite um what's your favorite pattern to paint on just any one of your baits?
Well, if I had made more, I would say a trout because that's where I kind of started the whole making swim baits, trout patterns.
Mhm.
Because I was painting trout patterns on wooden poppers, whatever, just with a brush, not even an airbrush, just a regular paintbrush. So I would say a top water, cause that takes me back to the beginning. But yeah, I would say a trout.
Mhm. No, and all those like so we have like a lot of trout that are stocked in this area, and some of you guys that like do trout patterns, it's like that is spot on. That's like a hatchery trout right there. Like that color is straight from a trout hatchery. No, like your trout pattern, I feel like is pretty spot on.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, and just by looking at, I mean, there's so many variations of any fish, to be honest. Um, but I look at pictures, photographs and stuff like that, and I try to mimic that as best I can. Everybody has their own unique style, whatnot, but I just try to do it, my best version of it.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the colors that you do that I really enjoy is the bone that you do, and because I like the scaling that you do with it, I think looks really cool, and then just the bone color in general, and then um, oh, you had one here earlier in the year where you did bone, but you did like bloody splatter with it.
Yeah, so I call that one the bone blood splat,
Mm-hmm.
and I gotta get. I made that pattern for the first time when I went to the gathering, the swim bait gathering in Virginia. Um, so I flew out there and I was a vendor, and I painted several of the joy shads, and that bone. It's not just white or bone color. It's like it has a scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it kind of gives it a little more depth, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I painted that blood splatter, right? The belly. So that one, that one, buddy of mine, Cody, caught a couple. I think it's a couple of 10 pounders. I could be wrong, but that's where he caught that 10 pounder on that pattern, on the bone blood splat pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my favorite patterns that I do on pretty much any bait that I make nowadays. Um, and I do other variations. I'll do other patterns, baits with that blood splatter technique.
Mm-hmm.
And those have been very popular. Um, but yeah, and very cool stuff, man.
No, I like it a lot. I like the scaling on it, and then I like because some people like some builders or painters, they'll just do like straight bone, like no scales.
Right.
Maybe a different color on the back, but I don't know. I think yours is just like very aesthetic, and then it just yeah, it's aesthetic, but I feel like it's one of those colors where it's not just bone. It has like a little extra to it. I don't know. It just looks super good in my opinion.
Yeah, I just take the little extra time, and give it a little more detail on it. You know, um, just so like you said, so it doesn't look like a resin, hard bait. You know,
Mhm.
I want to at least give a little more dimension, more depth, more realism, I guess. Um, but to me, it has to look good. It has to look good. It has to, you catch the fisherman first, right? You go, oh, wow, that's pretty cool, right? But you catching fish too. But as a fisherman, it's like you want it to look cool, and it has to feel good in your hands and see all the detail, work behind it and stuff, and it has to look good,
Mhm.
but with a function,
Mhm.
and I take a lot of pride in that. And a bunch of my baits, they're just freestyle. I don't aside from that, the bone blood bath pattern. A lot of the other baits I make, they're just freehand. That same pattern probably won't be the same from last month.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's just what I mix at that time, and that's part of why I enjoy painting the most, because I was like, you know what? Let me make 10 in this pattern, and just see how it comes out.
Mhm.
So there's no rhyme or reason, no formula that I write down. Okay, put in this much blue, this much green. No, it's just out of my head,
Mhm.
freestyle. That's part of the fun, man.
For sure, dude. And when you're not bait making, besides working on cars, things like that, what else do you like to do in your free time when you have some?
Um, spend time with my daughter.
Mhm.
Spend time with my daughter. Um, we go. I take her to the park. I take her to the mall. She loves skateboarding. As a teenager, I was all into skateboarding.
Mhm.
So she likes skateboarding. She has an electric scooter. Just spending time with her. And also, I love cooking. I love cooking.
Mhm.
That's what I do on my spare time. But when I'm not doing baits or whatever, is I'm always thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if I could do that. I was like, and if I have an idea, before I forget, I'll kind of do like a rough sketch. I'll do like a rough sketch, and that's where that this frog, tadpole glide, you know, was created. Um, I had this idea a couple weeks ago, and then sometimes you forget. And then I woke up. I was, you know what? Hold on. Before I forget, before I get busy doing other stuff, whatever, and let me just kind of draw it out. Okay, cool. And then it just starts from there. Same thing with that craw. Just as an idea,
Mhm.
and just put it on paper first, and just finding the time to do them, because I do all these little side projects. And my brain sometimes is so scattered. I'll do these side projects on my on my off hours, I guess.
Mhm.
Like I'll always find like 2 hours in my day to work on side projects.
Mhm.
Like I'll do my production, right? Pour in my bass, whatever. Then the next day I'll trim them and sand them, assemble. But when I'm doing that, and it's like later in the day, and when I'm tired and I just want to go sit down, watch TV or whatever, I'll stay back here because I have a TV back here.
Mhm.
I'll just stay back here, and then I'll just work on other stuff. I'll
Mhm.
work on a tail or work on that, and something not production related, but just future based possible or whatever ideas. And yeah, I'm always my mind is always doing this, like figure eight,
Mhm.
from anything with fishing. Like I was at Michael's because my daughter wanted to learn how to paint, so I bought her like a little canvas and the little paint set, whatever. And I'm walking there, I was like, oh, look at that. I was like, maybe I could use that for something, for my base or whatever, But I'm always like, just I always have fishing lures in my head,
Mhm.
24/7. I'm in bed trying to fall asleep. I'm like, with my blanket like this, falling asleep. I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna do this. Okay, I want to work on this. I was like, as I'm falling asleep,
Mhm.
I'll wake up, and same thing. It's like it's just so, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, just always on your mind. No, I'm the same
It's
way.
always in
Like,
my mind.
yeah, so I'm the same way. It's like I have in my phone, I'll have my notes app, and there'll be different ideas, and I'll like really write them out and detail them. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna come back to this because like the other day I had an idea for it's like, well, I kind of want to do like a carve like a little frog like wake bait thing, and it's like this is how I would do it. It's kind of how I would want to go about it. And then it's like, well, let me write this in my notes so I get it down. Um, or then when I was at work, um, we have a TV, and somebody one time put like the Monterey Bay Aquarium on, and they did like
Ooh,
the cam of like the shrimp aquarium part, and
yeah,
I was like, that shrimp looks pretty cool. It's like that'd be a cool paint idea. Let me write that down. So it's like a spot prawn or something. I was like, that would look cool on a crankbait for some paint. Let me write this down so I can remember it.
right. Yeah, a lot of these patterns that sometimes I do, they're not like it doesn't mimic any fish,
Mhm.
but it'll stand out in the water,
Mhm.
and bass have like red to us looks different to them. They don't see the same colors we do.
Mhm.
So, but like for example, a wild pattern like that fire tiger pattern, like that's crazy.
Mhm.
But a bass will see it different. It'll
Mhm.
stand out more with the background or whatever, and it catches fish.
Mhm.
Same thing with like a bone. Like no fish looks like a white, but
Mhm.
it stands out in the water, murky water, and you just try to get their attention. And
Mhm.
some of these patterns are to get their attention.
Um, no, for sure, because you'll see some patterns and you're like, it's like that's like so like a super popular like pattern right now is throwbacks pink lemonade,
Mm.
and it's like, well, to us, it's like that's super obnoxious, like bright yellow, bright pink, just simple. It's like but it just works, and so bass see, like you said, bass see colors differently. It's like, wonder how that looks for them with those bright colors. Definitely standing out. In stained water as well.
Yeah, yeah, like pink. Before the anybody started doing pink, I only saw pink made or painted by Jason at Phone and Frog. So I would have to give him credit. Jason, I think, was the first to do his pink bubblegum, pink tail, pink everything. I think I saw only first with Jason do the
Mm-hmm.
pink, and that, after that, everybody started doing pink, and I do pink too, my own
Mm-hmm.
variation, I guess. But
Yeah.
um, Yeah, man, everybody's different. Everybody has their own style and techniques or whatnot, and try to uh, paint paint the colors that are popular, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, I try to do more natural colors,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, but yeah, just have fun with it, man. I just have fun with it.
For sure. Um, with some of the masters that you have, you say you got a box or a bucket of them. Any insight on what might come out next besides maybe the frog tadpole glide?
I have a catfish.
Mm-hmm.
I have a catfish that I carved that probably over 5 years ago, and then I brought it out, just messing with it. First, it was gonna be a wake bait. Nah, I don't want to do a lip wake bait. I was like, that's too easy, you know. So I started looking at the carving. I was like, how else can I do this? I was like, I don't think just the shape, the design, it's not gonna glide. So I was like, well, let me try to do a multi piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a matter of fact, hold on, give me a second. So I think it'll work as a multi piece, which is this guy right there.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Yeah.
See the fat head?
Mm-hmm.
There's a belly.
Yeah. And you even got like the like striations in the side.
Yeah, you know how they have the ribs kind of show a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So just try to make it as detailed as I can, as I know how.
Mm-hmm.
The whiskers and you know, kind of give it that attitude, kind of look to it.
Yeah.
But this is something that I've been wanting to do, but I just get too busy with the production baits that I don't pay much attention to, which I
Mm-hmm.
should. I should. And like I said, this year I'm gonna do that. The baits that I have laying around that I want to make, I'm gonna produce them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna produce them. I'm gonna produce them. Make sure they perform, and and for sure, that's one of them. That frog is or tadpole was a concept before, and now I'm producing it, and it's called fish. It's called fish. That one, this other gizzard. This one evolved from an old glide that I sold like 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
this one evolved from that one.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm making it better. I always try to improve on the design, improve on the swim, improve on the look. So this is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm always looking to improve a bait, whether it's a Joey, whether it's a junior. So what could I do different or make it better, or sometimes just leave it alone. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a box full of stuff, man.
Yeah.
That,
No, the catfish is really cool. Like you like showed it up to the camera and like instantly I was like yellow bullhead pattern, brown back, like brown, like
yeah,
yellow belly, but like their colors aren't like they're like really muddled and kind of spotty in the middle, then black eyes.
like marbly and stuff like just
Yeah,
weird. Yeah, yeah,
I was like
yeah.
that
I
would
mean,
look sick on there.
it would, man. It would. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna leave it out here. That way, I have it in the back of my brain. Okay, molded.
Yeah.
But I mean, part of the process, man, is like of testing. Is that I have so many molds that I've made of masters that they don't perform. They don't swim the way I want them to swim, and they'll just get tossed away. And it's money. Silicone is so expensive; it's like $100 a gallon. Uh, but that's part of the process, man. It's part of the
Hmm.
process. You can't. Everything comes with a price. Time is everything. Time is everything. Time is money.
Hmm.
And I try to utilize my time uh, to making stuff that's gonna work and getting my components. you know, together, and that way I could be consistent, because you can make a base swim good, but try to do that hundreds of times.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been fortunate that I don't have any rejects. Like say I'll make a batch of 40 baits, for example.
Mm-hmm.
All of them swim good. I don't like. So I mean, some I kind of had need some tweaking, but for the most part, it's like I have the recipe dialed down. I have a recipe book, and everything's all like calculated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and with all my formulas and materials and stuff, and I've been pretty consistent, which is that's the hard part to do, and it's taking years to try to master that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like you're your own boss with this, so it's like you're everything, like your time management, like what you need to do. It's all on you. There's
Yeah.
there's no other people to help you out with this.
No, as a matter of fact, so after I printed these shipping labels, it was like late. I gotta pour some tails. I gotta pour some tails. So I was like, okay, I just gotta do it. So I went to that table, got my molds ready, and I just started mixing silicone, because these tails are all made of silicone.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But yeah, it's so many steps involved that it's like, wow, it's not just pouring the bait. It's like I don't have somebody to help me pour tails, or help me sand and assemble, or help me pour. I wouldn't have anybody help me pour, because that's something that I have to control,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm the one that swims them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If somebody did them, I was like, man, it's like what did you do? It sinks like a rock. It's like, so I gotta control that.
Mm-hmm.
And I swam 50 baits last week or 2 weeks ago, and all of them swim incredible, all of them. So it's a lot of dedication, man. A lot of but it just came from practice and experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, dude. We're coming up on our time here. Is there any parting words you want to leave with people, and you can let people know like where they can find you on socials and your website, all of that.
Yeah, so mainly I'm on Instagram, Rafa Custom Baits, Facebook, Rafael Perez, and Rafa Custom Baits. But I mainly use my Rafael Perez Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I'm very appreciative of everybody that supports me, that follows me, and gives me all this feedback and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm super appreciative, and I appreciate everybody that reaches out and sends me pictures or questions. I try to reply to most people, but my emails get so flooded, man. There's like so much spam and stuff, and even my messenger on Facebook, my Instagram, it gets flooded. It's like I can't. Sometimes it's hard to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you make a comment on one of my posts, like, hey, make a comment. Hey, I just sent you a message. Can you reply back? Oh, cool. So I'll look for you. That's part of one of the easiest ways to contact me. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm always on social media. Um, hit me up anytime. Questions. Sometimes if I can, I'll do a custom pattern for you. Say for example, if my last drop of shads are gone, and you wanted one, but you wanted one in a certain pattern, let me know. Send me a message. Hey, man, can you make one in a bunker, or whatnot? Message me, and I'll make one for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, just kind of like bear with me in the time. I try to I try not to do any pre-orders for the most part,
Yeah.
because that's kind of hard. Um, but yeah, just message me. I'm always willing to paint something custom for you. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Heck
And
yeah,
I
man.
and I th- and I thank you for inviting me on your podcast, Wyatt. I did one before, like a few years ago. But it's not. Yeah, it's. I love talking about this stuff.
Oh, for sure. Like, I'm sure we could have talked for several more hours about
Oh, for totally,
everything. Uh huh.
totally, man, totally.
No.
And I could, give you like a little guided tour of my little garage workshop, man. Um, but then you'll see some of my top secret stuff. So it's like I don't want to show anybody, you know.
All
But
right.
it was fun, man. It was fun, man.
No, it was great. Thanks, man.